The city used to be a place where you could disappear. You could pull up your collar, tilt down your hat, and become just another shadow in the crowd. The noise was your cover. The chaos was your camouflage. But that city is dead. It's been bulldozed and paved over with silicon. A friend of mine was in New York City last week. They were walking near Astor Place. Hungry, tired, looking for a quick bite. Suddenly, the glow of a Wegmans grocery store. I'm sure it looked inviting. Warm light, fresh produce, the promise of a simple and quick transaction. But as they approached the sliding glass doors, they stopped. There, right at eye level, was a small, polite sign. It didn't say welcome. It said, "We may collect biometric identifier information." It was a digital border crossing. Crossing that threshold meant agreeing to have the geometry of their face mapped, hashed, and stored in a database none of us will ever see, controlled by people we will never meet. My friend stood there for a minute, looking at all the people inside, buying apples, checking prices, laughing. They didn't care. They had traded their faces for a carton of milk. My friend turned around and walked away. Welcome back to the Panopticon. Welcome to Sentient City. I'm Pseudo, and this is Impractical Privacy. We've spent the last 8 episodes of this podcast locking down your personal life. We've secured your phone, your car, your home network. But what happens when you leave the castle? What happens when the environment itself is hostile? Today, we're talking about the spy on the sidewalk. And I don't mean a guy in a trench coat. I mean the concrete, the lights, and the air around you. Let's start with the streetlights. In cities across America, San Diego, Atlanta, Chicago, the old sodium vapor lamps are gone. They've been replaced with smart nodes. Companies like GE, Current, and Ubiquiti aren't just selling light bulbs. They're selling intelligent city infrastructure. These nodes are equipped with optical sensors that track pedestrian density. They know how many people are on a corner at 2 a.m. versus 2 p.m. They have acoustic sensors, aka microphones. They claim that these are for gunshot detection, identifying the sonic signature of a firearm to alert police. But microphones are stupid. They don't know the difference between a gunshot and a heated political argument or a protest chant. They know what they are programmed to listen for. And most insidiously, they have Bluetooth sniffers. Your phone, your watch, your headphone, they're all constantly shouting out a unique identifier called a MAC address. Hey, I'm here. Hey, connect to me. The streetlights listen to these shouts. They log them. They timestamp them. So even if you never take your phone out of your pocket, the city knows that the device belonging to John Doe walked past 4th Street at 8:01, past 5th Street at 8:04, and stopped at the coffee shop for 10 minutes. They don't need a GPS warrant. They just need the lights on. But, Pseudo, I don't live in a major city. I live in the suburbs. I'm safe, right? No. You are living in the middle of a shadow network. We've touched on this briefly before, but we need to again. We're going to talk about Amazon Sidewalk. This is one of the most brilliant and terrifying engineering feats of the last decade. Amazon realized that Wi-Fi has a short range, so they turned every Echo device, every Ring doorbell, and every smart camera into a bridge. These devices use a slice of the 900 megahertz spectrum, specifically the LoRa, or long-range, frequency, to broadcast a low-bandwidth network that blankets entire neighborhoods. It travels through walls. It can travel for half a mile. Why? So that if your neighbor buys a tile tracker for their cat, and the cat runs into your yard, your Echo device will detect the tag and tell Amazon where the cat is. It sounds helpful. It sounds convenient. But think about the architecture. Your neighbors have built a surveillance mesh that you can't opt out of. You are walking through invisible tripwires every time you walk your dog. If you carry a tile, an AirTag, or any device compatible with these networks, you are pinging every house you pass. You're being tracked by infrastructure you do not own, on a network you did not join, for the benefit of a corporation you may not even use. The tip on this one is that if you own any Amazon device, open the Alexa app right now. Go to Settings, Account Settings, Amazon Sidewalk. Turn it off. Do not be a node in their dragnet. Okay, we've talked about the signals you can see, the cameras, the streetlights. But what about the signals you can't? I want to talk about the invisible handshake. Imagine you're walking through a shopping mall or sitting in a waiting room. There's a TV playing ads in the background. Or maybe you're just walking past a digital kiosk showing a map of the mall, but you aren't looking at your phone. It's deep in your pocket, locked, screen off. You think it's asleep, but it's listening. This is ultrasonic cross-device tracking, or uXDT. Here's how it works. Advertisers embed high-frequency audio beacons, usually around 18 to 20 kilohertz, into commercials, YouTube ads, and even the ambient music in retail stores. You can't hear it. It's too high for human ears. But your phone's microphone can hear it perfectly. Apps on your phone, games, weather widgets, flashlight apps, run background processes that listen for these specific ultrasonic chirps. When your phone hears the chirp from the TV ad or the store speakers, it phones home. It tells the data broker, hey, the device ID belonging to Pseudo is currently standing in front of the Adidas display in the mall. They just linked your physical location to your digital profile without you ever touching a screen. They know you saw the ad. They know how long you stood there. And it gets worse when you look up. Those digital billboards, the ones showing you ads for cars or lawyers, they watch back. Companies like Clear Channel Outdoor use a system called Radar. They partner with mobile location providers to track the devices passing their billboards. They know if you, specifically you, drove past their ad, and if you then drove to a dealership later that week. But the new generation of smart kiosks in malls and cities goes a step further. They use computer vision to track your gaze. Cameras embedded in the frame of the screen track your eyeballs. They measure your dwell time, how long you looked at the ad. They measure your attention span. They can even estimate your age, gender, and mood based on your facial micro-expressions. Did you frown at the price of the burger? Did you smile at the movie trailer? That reaction is now a data point. You're no longer just an audience. You are a focus group of one, being analyzed in real time by a billboard. So, how do we kill the invisible handshake? Step 1 is mic permissions. Go through your phone. Revoke microphone access for everything that isn't a phone or a voice recorder app. Why does a flashlight need the mic? Step 2 is the dead zone. if you're having a private conversation in public, or if you just don't want to be tracked by the store speakers, put your phone in that Faraday bag we've talked about. If the mic can't hear the chirp, the handshake fails. Step 3 is IR blocking glasses. What do? They mess with the gaze tracking cameras in kiosks. If they can't find your pupils, they can't measure your attention. The city is screaming at your phone in a language you can't hear. It's time to stop listening. All right, now let's go back to that Wegmans in New York. Let's walk through those doors. Retail surveillance has graduated from loss prevention to behavioral harvesting. That sign about biometric data, that's about live facial recognition. When you enter, a camera isolates your face. It measures the distance between your eyes, the shape of your cheekbones, the contour of your jawline. It creates a face print, a mathematical hash of your identity. It runs the hash against a database of known offenders. But who decides who's an offender? Wegmans? The NYPD? A private security firm? And what happens when the algorithm gets it wrong? We've already seen cases, like in Detroit, where faulty facial recognition led to the wrongful arrest of innocent people just because the algorithm said 98% match. But it gets worse. Let's talk about the smart cart. Stores are rolling out carts like the Caper Cart. These have cameras pointing into the basket. They weigh your items. They track what you put in, but they also track what you take out. Did you pick up the Oreos, hold them for 10 seconds, and then put them back? That's a data point. That's purchase hesitation. The store analyzes that. Maybe next time, they'll send a coupon to your phone the second you step in the cookie aisle. They're digitizing your indecision. Here's where the surveillance hits your wallet, though. Look at the price tags on the shelf. Are they paper or are they little digital screens? Those are electronic shelf labels. And we've touched on this briefly before, but this is part of surveillance pricing. Retailers love them because they can change prices instantly. But combine electronic shelf labels with the surveillance that we just talked about. If the camera sees that the store is crowded with wealthy professionals at 6 p.m., the system can quietly raise the price of steak by 50 cents. If the facial recognition identifies you and knows that you buy this brand of coffee every week regardless of the price, maybe the price doesn't drop for you when it drops for everyone else. This is the end game of Sentient City. They watch you to learn your breaking point. They harvest your data to calculate exactly how much they can squeeze before you walk away. Okay, take a breath. The city is watching. The store is scanning. The sidewalk is listening. Do we hide in the basement? No. We become impractical. We use physics to fight back. To defeat the sensors, you have to understand how they see. Most surveillance cameras, especially facial recognition systems, rely on near-infrared light. They blast your face with invisible IR light to map your 3D features, even in low light. If we can control the IR light, we can break the map. Tactic 1 is to use Zenni ID guard glasses. You guys know I do not shill products, but I will tell you what I use and what I find that works. Zenni Optical released a lens called ID Guard. It's cheap. It's a normal pair of glasses. There's maybe a slight blue or pink shimmer in certain angles, but this coating is designed to block and reflect near infrared light. To a human, you look normal. To a camera, your eyes, the most critical anchor point for facial recognition, are obscured by a dark or reflective void. It disrupts the algorithm's ability to lock onto your face. I have a pair, and I honestly can't speak highly enough of them. They are my everyday wear glasses. And the cool part is the coating can be applied to any of their frames and lenses, so your choices are not nearly as limited as our next option. Up next is Reflectacles. If you want to go nuclear, look at Reflectacles. These are frames made from retroreflective material, the same stuff that's on road signs. They've got a few different models. The Ghost model, when a camera with an IR illuminator, which most of them have, looks at you, the frames explode with white. It blows out the exposure of the camera. Your face becomes a white hot silhouette. And then there's the IR pair. These lenses turn pitch black under IR light. They completely hide your measurements. The downside? You look like a cyberpunk character. But maybe it's time we all start dressing like the Resistance. Up next is the digital hygiene, the hard toggles. When you walk into a city, your phone should be a radio silent brick. Turn Bluetooth off. Not just in the control center. That only disconnects devices. Go into settings and kill the radio. With that, also turn the Bluetooth off on your accessories too. Use corded headphones. I do every day. You also need to turn your Wi-Fi off. Stop shouting your MAC address to the streetlights. And then, buy a Faraday bag. Carry your car keys and your debit cards in a small RF shielding pouch. If you're not using it, it doesn't get to talk to the network. Up next is the gray man. Finally, the most effective tool is the most analog. Everywhere I go, I wear a mask. A standard medical mask breaks facial recognition pretty effectively. Wear a hat to cast a shadow over your brow, and pay with cash. If you use a credit card at Wegmans, they link your face to your name. If you use cash, you're just a ghost who likes apples. Break the link. This sounds exhausting, I know. Putting on special glasses, toggling settings, carrying cash, opting out of networks. It is impractical. But look at the alternative. The alternative is a world where your movement is an open book, where your hesitation in an aisle is a data point, where your face is a barcode. The city is trying to turn you into a predictable, trackable, optimizable unit of commerce. Don't let them. Be the variable they can't solve. Be the shadow they can't map. Confuse the algorithm. Distort the data. And listen, if you feel like we're just scratching the surface today, we are. For those of you on the big fan level on Patreon, we don't stop here. Once a month, on the second Monday, I drop a bonus episode where we ignore the clock and go fully off-grid. We sometimes get into the weeds on the topics that are too niche, too technical, or maybe too controversial for the main feed. If you want to support the signal and get access to those deep dives, check out the Patreon link in the show notes. Your support keeps the mic on, the servers running, and the trackers confused. I'm Pseudo. This is Impractical Privacy. Stay skeptical, stay safe, and remember, if you're walking down the sidewalk and the streetlight blinks, it might just be saying hello to your phone. Don't say hello back. Oh, and one last thing before you go. Why did the project manager bring a fly swatter to the computer lab? He heard the system was full of bugs. I'll see you next week.